It was a bitterly cold Monday morning in downtown Chicago. The kind where the wind cut through even the thickest coats and made people rush past one another without making eye contact. Ethan Carter was one of them, walking briskly from the parking garage toward the towering steel and glass building that housed his logistics tech firm. He had a busy day ahead, 3 meetings, 2 investor calls, and a dozen problems waiting in his inbox. He hated being late. As he hurried past the subway entrance, his eyes momentarily caught sight of someone sitting hunched against the wall. She looked young, early 20s, maybe. Her curly hair was tucked under a faded beanie, her face half hidden by a scarf that had seen better days. Her coat was oversized and torn, and she sat on a piece of flattened cardboard. A worn-out sign rested on her lap. Not lazy. Just unlucky. Need a chance. He barely gave her a second glance. This city was full of stories like hers, and most of them ended the same way. Ethan had grown numb to them. He wasn't heartless, he donated when he could, supported youth programs, but he couldn't stop for everyone. He walked past, telling himself what he always did, he had responsibilities. Deadlines. A company to run. But just as he reached the end of the block, he paused. Something felt different. She hadn't called after him. Hadn't asked for money. Hadn't even looked up. But she had pulled something from her bag, a leather folder, and placed it gently on top of the sign. Curious, almost against his own logic, Ethan turned around. He approached cautiously. "Is that your resume?" he asked, trying not to sound skeptical. She looked up slowly. Her eyes were sharp but tired, the kind of tired that went deeper than just sleep. "No. My degree." He blinked. "Your degree?" She nodded and held out the folder. Ethan hesitated, then took it. The leather was cracked and cold, but inside, everything was pristine. A diploma from Purdue University in computer engineering. Transcripts. Letters of recommendation. Certifications in data analytics and machine learning. There was even a student award for excellence in software design. He looked at her again, now seeing her with new eyes. "What's your name?" "Zahra Malik." "What happened?" She took a deep breath. "My dad died 2 days before graduation. My mom was sick. I had a job offer in Chicago, so I moved here hoping to support her. But the company folded before I started. I picked up odd jobs, waitressing, rideshare driving, until my car was totaled in an accident. I couldn't afford rent. The shelters filled up. I've applied to hundreds of jobs, but once they see no address, no current experience, they stop calling." Ethan stared at the folder. "Why don't you go back home?" "My mom passed last year." "There's nothing to go back to." For a long moment, he said nothing. His fingers ran over the embossed Purdue logo on the degree. "I'm not asking for money," Zahra added quietly. "I just want a chance. An interview. An opportunity to prove myself." Ethan made a decision. He didn't know why. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe, just maybe, it was the realization that brilliance often wears broken shoes. "Come with me," he said. She looked startled. "Where?" "There's a coffee shop across the street. Let's talk." She hesitated. "I might not smell great." He smiled. "It's Chicago in January. No one does." Inside the warm cafe, he ordered her a sandwich and hot tea. She ate slowly, carefully, like she hadn't had a meal she could trust in weeks. He asked her technical questions, about projects, coding languages, database structures. She answered them all with clarity and confidence. Her voice shook a little, but her knowledge didn't. "I haven't written code in months," she said. "But I remember everything. I used to practice in libraries until my laptop was stolen." Ethan stared at her hands, red and cracked from the cold. And still, she answered like someone who belonged in a conference room, not on a sidewalk. He offered her a chance. Not a job. Not yet. But a 3-week trial as a coding intern at his firm. No guarantees. No handouts. Just a desk, an old laptop, and a mentor to guide her. She didn't ask for more. She just whispered, "Thank you," and accepted. The next day, she arrived wearing a second-hand suit provided by Ethan's assistant and a pair of beat-up sneakers. Her hair was pulled back. She looked nervous, like someone entering a world she feared had forgotten her. Some of the staff were skeptical. A junior developer even whispered, "Seriously? We're hiring from the street now?" Ethan heard it, and made a note. Zahra didn't react. She got to work. She didn't just complete her assigned tasks, she restructured part of the codebase for a buggy client dashboard. She stayed late, offered help to others, and found optimization issues no one else had noticed. She debugged lines that had baffled 2 full-time engineers. By the end of week 1, people had stopped whispering. By week 2, they were asking for her input. At the end of the 3rd week, she handed Ethan a final project complete with detailed documentation, testing notes, and suggestions for long-term integration. It was flawless. He handed it to the executive team without comment. They were impressed. Shocked, even. The CTO asked where she had transferred from. She didn't, Ethan said. She transferred from the sidewalk. They offered her a full-time junior developer position. Good salary. Full benefits. A signing bonus. When Ethan gave her the envelope, she opened it with trembling fingers. Her lips moved silently as she read the words. Then she looked up at him, eyes full of tears. "You mean it?" she asked. He nodded. "You earned it." She cried then, but silently. Just a few tears, quickly wiped away. Then she stood up straighter and said, "Thank you. I won't waste it." And she didn't. She moved into a small studio apartment within the month. Paid off lingering bills. Started saving. She bought a new laptop and gave her first paycheck to a shelter that once gave her a blanket. Every Friday night, she volunteered at a local library, teaching kids how to code. She didn't forget where she had come from, not for a second. Within a year, she was promoted. Her projects were efficient, elegant, and innovative. She presented at the company's annual summit and got a standing ovation. The woman once ignored by thousands on a sidewalk was now mentoring interns, leading workshops, and rewriting her own narrative. Ethan watched her with pride. But more than that, humility. Because she had taught him something he didn't even realize he had forgotten. He told her story at conferences and networking events. "I thought she was just another beggar," he'd say. "Then she pulled out a degree, and I realized she was more qualified than half the people I've interviewed." She wasn't broken. She was buried. That story resonated. Ethan launched a new initiative, Code Again, designed to help individuals with technical skills who had fallen out of the system, the homeless, the unemployed, the forgotten. It offered training, mentorship, and short-term housing for those ready to work. Zahra became its first ambassador. She didn't seek fame. But people found her story anyway. Local news. Then national. LinkedIn posts that went viral. She turned job offers down, not because she wasn't grateful, but because she believed in building where she'd been rebuilt. One evening, after leaving work late, Zahra passed a bench near the subway station where a young man sat, shivering, clutching a folder. She paused. He looked up nervously. "I'm sorry, I'm not begging." "I know," she said gently. "Is that your degree?" He nodded. "Yeah. In IT. But no one's called me back in months. I'm couch surfing right now." She smiled and reached into her bag. Handed him a card. Code again. Apply tonight. Ask for Zahra. He stared at the card like it was gold. Thank you, he whispered. She walked away, heart full. Not because she had escaped the darkness, but because she had learned to light a way out of it. Zahra Malik was never just a girl on the sidewalk. She was never just another beggar. She was always a builder, a thinker, a quiet storm waiting to rise. All she needed was to be seen. And once she was, she made sure no one else like her would go unseen again.